Today, our nation honors a great man who had vision. This community has some visionaries as well. Meet one of them, coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning and happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Seacoast Medical Center on Highway 9 in Little River. We're focused on the Laura Seacoast Healthcare Foundation, and we're visiting with one of its board members and the president and chief executive officer of the Laura's Healthcare System, Tim Browne. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning. How are you?
Thank you for having us in. I guess you're our host kind of this week.
Absolutely. We're very glad to have you.
Tammy Eves was kind enough to come in yesterday on Sunday to help make sure this was set up nice for this morning.
Absolutely.
Of course, on the celebration of Martin Luther King Jr. And of his birth, it's a big day to be here.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you and your team here today.
You know, a lot has to happen to make a foundation successful. A lot has to happen over the years, of course, to make a healthcare system successful.
Absolutely.
Give viewers a little sense, if you don't mind. We want to get into you, but for viewers who may need to get off to work or get family off to school, I want to make sure they get a good sense of what Laura's healthcare system is all about.
Absolutely. Well, and it all started with an idea at the local Civitan Club in Loris in the 1940s. It actually was an idea at the Civitan Club. A group of visionary men decided that Loris needed a hospital. And so they took the necessary steps to work through the General Assembly in the state of South Carolina and got the legislative act set up to create the Loris Community Hospital District. And with that, they proceeded to raise money and secure the necessary funding and open a 23-bed hospital in Loris at the current location, May 15th of 1950.
Is that right?
That's
wow.
Right.
So you all have had some big celebrations recently.
Absolutely.
Highlighting either 50 years or 55 years. And soon it'll be 60 years,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so with that humble beginning began what is now today Laura's Healthcare System. And the hospital in Loris evolved from 23 beds in the beginning to now we're licensed for 105 beds.
Is that right?
105 beds. And we had a situation where we needed to get into the long-term care facility business. In the 1960s, we got into the long-term care arena. And now we have an 88-bed extended care center, Loris Extended Care Center. The current facility opened in 1992, and it's a beautiful home-like atmosphere for those residents. And in 1996, we opened the Center for Health and Fitness, which is a great facility.
Oh, yeah, magnificent
great
facility.
for our community.
Events and otherwise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really serves three purposes. We do a lot of patient care there, a lot of therapies, cardiac rehab, pulmonary rehab, physical therapy, occupational therapy. And that facility is great. We have memberships that are available. We have about 800 members that work out and maintain a healthy
community?
Absolutely. They come there and work out and maintain a healthy lifestyle. And the other part of the facility, it serves as a community function. The middle name of our hospital is community, and when we designed and built that facility, we actually made an auditorium that could be used for community events.
Oh, yeah.
The Loris Chamber Banquets
I've been to a Loris Chamber Banquet there.
Horry County State Bank has their annual shareholders meeting there. A lot of community events, wedding receptions. So
is that right?
It's really like a community facility that's used by our facilities. And we also have two family health centers that are part of our healthcare system that were initially funded by Duke Endowment grants. And they're staffed with nurse practitioners with medical direction by a family practice physician. And those are located in Loris and in Green Sea, Loris Family Health Center and the Mount Olive Family Health Center. Great facilities to meet primary care needs, and also reaching out to the medically underserved as well, which is part of our mission as well. Those facilities opened in the 90s as well and still are very vibrant and working today.
Right.
And of course, you're here today at Seacoast Medical Center,
I love it, yeah.
which is the largest outreach project in the history of our healthcare system. We opened it in 2000. And we've got some exciting plans for additions here, exciting plans for additions in Loris that we'll talk about.
Right. Yeah, well, this is a magnificent facility. I don't think folks know what they're going to get when they pull up here, but it seems to go on, and of course, by the end of, I guess, 2009 or 2010, it'll really go on and on.
Absolutely. We've got some great plans for this facility. We've been serving the needs of the North Strand communities since 2000 as a comprehensive outpatient facility.
Right.
We have a 24-hour ER here and all the ancillaries to support that 24-hour ER. We also have all the disciplines associated with the rehabs that I mentioned earlier, the physical therapy, the occupational therapy, the cardiac and pulmonary rehab. We also have an ambulatory surgery center here where you can come and have day surgery. And then we have over 40 physicians represented in offices located on the second floor of this facility.
Right here in
right
this
here
facility.
in this facility.
Boy.
So it's sort of a one-stop shopping atmosphere for outpatient care. And now we're going to take it to the next level with our inpatient beds that we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah. Real quick about yourself, Tim. Well, actually, if a viewer needs to get off to work now or get family off to school,
Absolutely.
we've been focused, or we will be later this week,
Yeah.
focused on the Healthcare Foundation.
Absolutely.
If a viewer wanted to learn more about the foundation,
Absolutely.
what's the best phone number for someone to call? And do you all have a
Absolutely.
website?
We do. The newest entity of our healthcare system is the Loris Seacoast Healthcare Foundation.
Okay.
Tammy Eves is our executive director,
Right.
and her phone number is 843-390-8215.
Okay.
And our web address is www.lorishealth.org.
Very easy. And there's a link there to the Loris Seacoast Healthcare Foundation.
That's correct.
Great.
That
Well,
is
it's got
correct.
great information on there. We were there early this morning. And, of course, as you pointed out before we started filming this morning, Tim, it is the celebration of Martin Luther King Jr., but hospitals are open 24/7.
Absolutely. We're here all the time for
Right.
everyone to meet their
Right.
health care needs.
About yourself, Tim, are you originally from the area?
I'm originally from the PD area over in the Hartsville area.
Oh, great. In Darlington County.
In Darlington County. I grew up there and finished high school there and then went off to college and finished with a bachelor's and master's at USC in Columbia.
So you've remained in the Palmetto State for much, if not all of your life?
Well, actually, I left the state in '83 and lived out of state for about 15 years and wanted to get back home to the Palmetto State and came back to serve as the president and CEO of Loris Healthcare System 10 years ago.
You joined as the president and CEO,
That's
not
correct.
climbing. You know, we were with Phil Clayton
Right.
on Friday, who I think came into Conway as a
right.
CFO or otherwise and held different
That's
positions
correct.
before attaining the same position you have here.
That's
So
correct.
you actually came here for this.
I came here to work with our board
Right.
and to work in this area and meet the needs of the citizens in this area with their health care needs. And the vision of Seacoast was here, and this was an exciting thing to develop along the North Strand.
You mentioned one thing that a lot of folks probably don't think about, our board.
Right.
You know, you've got a board. You are actually directly responsible to a local board of local residents
Absolutely.
who really impact both what you do and what the entire Loris Healthcare Systems does. Share with viewers a little about
Absolutely.
the board itself. How exactly is a community hospital set up, and,
Right.
and why is there a need for community hospitals?
Absolutely. I work for a 9-member board, and those are people that live and reside in our communities that we serve. They're actually appointed by the governor
Is that right?
through recommendation of our Horry County delegation. And these are people that have a strong interest in the area and the residents that live here and meeting their health care needs. And our board is a very compassionate board, and they are very interested in making sure that we're planning services to meet the needs of the citizens that are in our area.
Right.
And they're a great board to work with. They're my bosses, and we all work together as a team.
And it is important to think about it that way.
Absolutely.
You are
We all-
directly responsible to folks right
Yeah,
here in the community.
Absolutely, and they're real focused on meeting the needs locally. They don't have to. We don't have to worry about someone from out of state directing the activities of what we do. They're really focused on meeting the needs of the communities we serve.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
That's tremendous. So an active board there. Well, why a community hospital? I know, again, as we talked about, we were with Phil and the folks there from
Sure.
Conway Medical Center, focused on one of their upcoming galas next weekend. But of course, hearing him talk a little about community hospitals in general, what prompted community hospitals?
Well, I think one of the things that's so important is that residents need access to care close by where they reside.
Right.
And the people that are living in our area, our area has grown so tremendously. We've had the hospital in Loris since 1950. We now have plans to build a hospital here at Loris, at Seacoast Medical Center,
Right.
a 50-bed addition. And the residents of the North Strand and the Southern Brunswick market deserve to have a community hospital in their immediate area to meet those immediate needs. We're not going to offer tertiary level services at Seacoast, but all the basic community hospital services will be offered here when we have our new addition.
That's tremendous. And you think about it, as you highlighted, with where, and of course, you'll be with Mary Martin on Thursday, who I believe is Executive Director of the Little River Chamber of Commerce.
Great lady.
Little River's a booming area.
Absolutely.
North Myrtle Beach with its own chamber. We'll have Frank Bolino here with us, who I think is the chairman of the foundation board, on Friday.
That's correct.
And to think about the booming area of North Myrtle Beach, and that these two communities don't even have their own community hospital.
That's
So
right.
I think that Loris would have gotten one back in 1950, but and so you are really opening and expanding the role for this facility here.
An interesting statistic is that when we filed the paperwork for the original Seacoast project in 1998, and we began construction here in 1999 and opened in 2000, the population of North Myrtle Beach and Little River combined was the largest population base in the state that did not have a 24-hour emergency room in their own community.
Come on.
So we met that need.
Right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate, and now we're doing 20,000 ER visits here annually, both from residents that reside in our community, plus our tourist population, which is significant.
Well, you mean 20,000, not just this facility. You mean 20,000 for the entire Loris healthcare system?
We do 20,000 visits just at Seacoast Medical Center in the ER. We do another 20,000 at Loris Community. So system-wide, we're seeing about 40,000 ER visits a year now.
That's gigantic.
Yeah, it's a lot of patients.
That is gigantic. And to think that when they're meeting in the Civitan there in whatever year that was, 48, 49, getting ready for 1950.
Absolutely.
To think of that, can you imagine those folks would have ever dreamed
Well,
that?
they're great visionaries. E.E. Prince and S.F. Horton are still, today they're both gentlemen in their 90s, and they were true visionaries that were part of that beginning, that saw the whole thing just from its humble beginnings.
A lot of visionaries in the Loris area that folks may not know about or take for granted as you think about the strength and the importance of Horry Telephone Cooperative.
Absolutely.
And its depth there. You think about the foundings of Coastal Carolina College, now
Absolutely.
the university, much of that coming out of the Loris area, and now to the expansion of Loris Healthcare Systems,
That's
not only
correct.
here, but as you all continue to expand. I suspect you're probably already seeing a need right now to begin pursuing what may be a certificate of need for even more beds in the future for this area. This 50 is such a small number compared to what the need probably is.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. There will be an additional need once we get this 50 construction. We are hoping to, through our Loris Seacoast Healthcare Foundation, we are very optimistic about raising funds to help us do this project. As a as a community hospital that's not for profit, we receive funds for taking care of our patients. But we also know that we need additional assistance in raising funds to help us with our strategic objectives of the 50-bed addition at Seacoast, as well as the new ER ICU that we're planning at the Loris Community Hospital campus.
Mm-hmm. Family here in the area, Tim. Do you have family with you here?
I do. My wife, Nancy, and I have two children, Caitlin. Caitlin's 15, and Austin.
Your daughter's 15.
I have a 15-year-old daughter, Caitlin, and I have a son who's 11, and his name is Austin. And they're my treasures. They're my life.
And to think for you and for them, if you arrived here 10 years ago as a president and CEO, even the expansion just in that short amount of time, not only seeing them grow, but seeing Loris Healthcare Systems grow.
Absolutely.
This must be particularly exciting for you. Are you rooted right there in Loris yourself?
Yeah, I reside in Loris. I sure do.
Right.
And I was with my son a couple of weeks back, and we were traveling the streets of Loris, and he looked at me, and he said, "Dad, look at all this traffic in Loris. Loris is not a sleepy little town anymore."
Literally in the 10 years, or since he can remember even. Let's say it's just in the 6 or 7 years since
he was a
only
toddler
11,
when we moved here. So it's amazing. Obviously, it's still not as big as the beach area, but we are growing out the Loris way as well, which is why we want to maintain our 105 beds at Loris, as well as have the new addition here at Seacoast for the 50 beds.
We got about 10 minutes, Tim. Let's spend a little time focusing on, of course, tomorrow we'll be with Tammy Eaves. You mentioned the executive director has been with you a few months here, and of course we're expanding the Loris Seacoast Healthcare Foundation dramatically as you all move forward. But give viewers a sense, if you can kind of give us a little virtual tour. Sure. I know it's particularly easy. We're video.
Yeah.
It's sight, sound, and motion. It'd be great to have some video to go along with it. But for viewers who may not have visited your facility there in Loris, and then if we have enough time to highlight this, but just if they were pulling up for the first time there in your facility in Loris.
Well, the Loris Community Hospital is a 4-story facility, and we have on the first floor we have an ICU, an ER, and all the OR areas, and all the ancillary areas like lab and X-ray. Some of the administrative offices and the dietary areas on first. On the second floor, we have a unit that's actually a unit where we can monitor patients, post-surgical patients, telemetry monitoring. On the third floor is a general medical floor and also our progressive care unit, which is sort of a step-down unit between the floors and ICU.
Okay.
And on the fourth floor is our women's floor. Our women's floor where we have labor and delivery and recovery and the nursery. So, and across the street from the hospital is the Center for Health and Fitness on Casey Street. And a block down the street on Stevens Street is the Loris Extended Care Center. So we have all that within a block of operations right there in downtown Loris.
Boy, Tim, for you, are you spending a lot of time there in Loris, or you are buzzing up and down Highway 9?
Well, I spend a lot of time in Loris, but I also spend quite a bit of time at Seacoast Medical Center, too.
Right here.
And right here in Little River. And this facility was, I sort of was very involved with the initial planning of this facility, very involved with the design and the plan. And I brought Arnold Green on board as our systems chief operating officer, and he's in charge of this facility on a day-to-day basis. But I'm very much involved with our system activities and have a lot of things here at Seacoast.
When you were getting your undergraduate degree or your master's degree, had you contemplated that you would ever be in a position like this, or would be working towards something like this?
I'll be honest. I initially thought I was going to go to medical school, so I have a degree in biology undergrad. And about midway through my junior year, I decided that I would have a little more business approach to what I was doing. So I kind of combined my interest in healthcare and business and came up with hospital administration. Went to see a few hospital administrators, asked them what they did.
Really?
And got real interested. And then I pursued a master's degree and received a master's degree in hospital administration. And then, like I said, worked 15 years for a company out of the state of South Carolina. And most of my career was in Kentucky prior to coming back home to South Carolina. And then have been with Loris Healthcare now for 10 years. So.
Was that also at a community institution, a not-for-profit institution?
It's actually out of state. Was all for profit. I worked for the Humana.
So you've seen both sides.
I've seen both sides.
Humana's huge. Yeah,
sure. I worked for the Humana Corporation. I was recruited by them out of graduate school at the University of South Carolina.
Right. So you have seen both sides.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to wrap the interview with that. We've got a few minutes, but as you use the word community in the middle name there, Loris Community Hospital, even though the healthcare systems had to expand and you still have the community name in there, right there on facility. And that is so important to think about.
Absolutely.
When you think about the needs both of the community being dependent and responsive to a local board, a community board, and then to think about the community. You're probably seeing an influx, some coming from Brunswick, some from parts of Columbus County.
Absolutely.
That cross the line to come on over to see y'all.
Over 25% of our patients come from North Carolina.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
That large?
That large.
Wow.
Yeah, because see, the border's only 4 or 5 miles from Seacoast, and the border's only 6 or 7 miles from Loris. So it's very about 25% of our business comes from the Columbus and Brunswick County.
You know, as you think about, you talked a little bit about the expansion there in Loris. What will the expansion do there in Loris? And then maybe we can talk. We've got a few minutes to talk about the expansion here.
The expansion in Loris is an $18 million addition to the campus there. And that $18 million will include a new emergency department, a new ICU, a new pharmacy, and it will be a new 2-story structure that's be adjacent to the hospital but yet connected. The addition here is about a $30 million addition, all 50 new beds that we're going to be placing out back of the Seacoast facility.
Right behind us.
Right behind this facility.
Okay.
It'll be a 2-story addition to our campus here. And it will be 32 medical surgical beds and 18 beds that will be either progressive care or ICU intensive care beds. So.
And then the other 10, obviously. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Oh, you said 32 and 18.
32,
excuse me.
yeah.
I had written down a breakdown of 8.
Of the 8,
right.
8 in one unit and 10 in another unit. That's correct.
That's tremendous.
That's right.
Is tremendous. You know, and of course, as you think about the real needs and to see the expansion in this area, as you travel up and down Highway 9, do you ever in your mind as a visionary begin thinking about, could there be something between these two even?
Well, you know, I think the area, the Highway 9 corridor is really growing.
Right.
And I think with maintaining the operations in Loris and building the new operations here, I think hopefully we'll have enough beds to take care of the needs of the citizens of this corridor for quite a bit of time to come in the future. So.
What do you expect the foundation will be able to do to advance the goals for the Loris healthcare systems, the Loris Seacoast Healthcare Foundation? What was the expectation when you all began the...
Well, actually, we are very excited about the newest addition, the Loris Seacoast Healthcare Foundation. And with Frank Bullino's leadership as our chairman,
yes,
and Tammy Eves as our executive director, we're excited about the prospects of raising funds to help us with these projects, both at Loris and both at Seacoast. Mm-hmm. So we're excited about that. The important thing to remember is that the hospital and the healthcare system is funding the office of the foundation. All money raised by the foundation go directly to our projects, whether it's the beds at Seacoast or whether it's the ER/ICU expansion at Loris Community Hospital. And then once we get that, the foundation will stay in place because there will be funding mechanisms for opportunities for further enhancement of services at Loris Healthcare System in the future.
You say all, you mean like 100%?
100%.
All those expenses are covered by Loris Healthcare System, so that truly, if a viewer right now is watching and they picked up the phone and dialed the 390-2815, was it 2815?
8215.
Thank you. I was a couple numbers off. 8215. If they pick up the phone and dial that number,
that's right,
they're going to know that if they make a donation, those dollars are going all into
absolutely.
The foundation's
And you know, so many people today with philanthropic dollars, they give to their religious affiliations, they give to their educational foundations. Healthcare is very much a part of what we do in life and what we need in life. And so it's very important to remember healthcare when giving is your choice.
You know, a lot of folks may sit back and think, why, in a facility that's generating 150, 185 million in annual revenue, that has a heck of a lot of employees, why do they need money for a foundation? They can do it all on their own. What are some of those real needs, Tim? I mean, why do you need money for a foundation?
Well, I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of changes in reimbursement for the services that we deliver.
Right.
Governmental reimbursement has declined. Managed care contracts has actually shrunk the dollars that the healthcare system receives for the services we perform. And the rising number of uninsured patients and the people that can't pay their co-pays and deductible places a burden on the healthcare system, actually, especially a public community healthcare system. So we're in need of additional dollars to meet our strategic objectives, like the beds at Seacoast and like the new addition at Loris Community.
So these dollars will really be used and reinvested right back here?
Reinvested right here in the communities that we live in to take care of the citizens that live in this area.
Mm-hmm. As you think, Tim, for yourself, you know, just trying to imagine, obviously we can think back just a few days, a typical day for you. Obviously, you said much of your time right there in Loris.
Sure.
But as you think through, are you an early riser? Are you late to bed? What's a typical day
I'm at the hospital every morning around before 7 o'clock.
Is that right?
And I make rounds and see the employees in the hospital and talk with the physicians there. And I have meetings throughout the day, and I have a lot of night meetings too.
You do?
Yeah. In fact, we spent some time last week with an OBGYN candidate who's looking for a practice opportunity, as well as an orthopedic candidate who was looking for a practice opportunity. So we have a great need for additional physicians in our area. So we're having new recruits coming in looking at practice opportunities so we can meet the needs of this growing community.
I think you mentioned before we started filming last Tuesday you were in Durham visiting Duke, and to
Absolutely.
think about, you mentioned the Duke Endowment and its support of helping
Absolutely.
to expand early on.
Duke Endowment has been very generous to healthcare systems in North and South Carolina, not-for-profit healthcare systems.
Right.
And we've benefited from the Duke Endowment grants for many projects here. And we're also going to be talking with them about helping to fund some of these construction projects once they're underway as well.
Great. Your biggest hope, and of course being one of the visionaries that helped plan out the Loris Seacoast Healthcare Foundation, your biggest hope, let's say 5, even 10 years from now, of what you plan where the board should be. What's your biggest desire here, Tim?
Well, I'll tell you, I think Conway Medical Center does a great job with their facility and their foundation. We obviously are very interested in making sure our facilities stay current and stay abreast with the latest technology. We want the Healthcare Systems Foundation to be extremely successful. We want to raise the money necessary for construction projects, equipment projects for the future, and we feel like with the leadership that we've got on board with our foundation board, that we can make that happen.
Great words. Tim, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with the Loris Healthcare System President and Chief Executive Officer Tim Browne coming up next. Golly, what a day. A day like today, January 21st today, we're celebrating dreams. You know, we think about that, not to take anything away from Dr. King's dreams and, of course, that goal of bringing races together. You think back dreams 60 years ago as these men are sitting around at a Civitan meeting in the mid-1940s, and they're dreaming about how can we make a difference in our community? How can we touch healthcare needs of folks like us, folks sitting around this room as well as all over this community? We can make a difference. And you heard Tim talk about it in 1946 as the legislature passed that and got the ball rolling. And then 1950 as those 23 beds opened up for service right there in the Loris community. That's a key word. Just like the same words that Tim talked about of 100% of any dollar that you think about donating to the Loris Seacoast Healthcare Foundation will be reinvested right back into this community, into the Little River, North Myrtle Beach community, into the Loris community, into this entire community. Hearing him talk about 25% of their patients coming in are coming and crossing the line. The needs are over there in Brunswick and Columbus counties, and they have to cross the line, just like folks back prior to 1950 having to cross into Marion County to go to Mullins Hospital or having to travel down to Conway to get served. Right now they can do it on their own, sitting there in Loris, coming over here to Little River, they can be served. The dreams have been fed, and they've been fed very well. Celebrate the dream. Go online to lorishealth.org, lorishealth.org, or pick up the phone, 843-390-8215. Give Tammy Eves a call and learn more about the Loris Seacoast Healthcare Foundation.